This just make you cry. A 13-year-old boy from Staten Island, bullied. He committed suicide last Thursday.
And he opens up about what he experienced at school through a heartfelt letter that he left. He was found dead last week in the family's attic by his older sister. A belt was wrapped around his neck. Daniel attended Holy Angels Catholic Academy in Brooklyn, New York. And in his suicide letter, he wrote that he was bullied by classmates and tried to get help from his school, but he was ignored. And school officials say he did receive 3 counseling sessions. Meanwhile, his heartbroken father spoke out about his son's death.
He ain't like me. He was never like me. He was better than me.
Oh my God. He also thanked people for their support in the wake of his son's death. One of our attorneys, Jennifer Brand, has come in here, and parenting expert JJ Cannon. JJ, let's talk about that. You contacted the little boy's sister, who's 17.
I reached out to Shannon because one of the first questions that I had was to ask whether or not Daniel was active on any social media, because I was wondering if this was strictly bullying at school or if it was also online. And she responded that he was not active on any social media.
But bullying online is rampant in this country.
Absolutely rampant. And I have to say that I'm noticing more and more, there seems to be almost an evaporation of empathy among young people today. And I feel like part of the reason for that is because they're becoming desensitized to violence and sort of crass things very young because of social media.
Are these kids affected by bullying even though the person bullying them is a total stranger?
I think so, yes, because especially if you're seeing words in print, I mean, this is a whole different thing, and we're talking about a school, a small private Catholic school with very few students. And so in that situation, I think it's almost worse because you even have a harder time getting away from those children.
Because it's smaller classrooms, so you're around them a lot.
Yes.
And his sister found him, he hanged himself?
Yes, not Shannon, but there's another older sister. I feel like her name might be Kathleen, but Shannon was not the one.
Did they talk about knowing it all? Did he come home and talk about what was going on at school?
She didn't. I wanted to be very careful because this is so fresh. You know, my own daughter turned 13 on the day that Daniel killed himself. And so it's really haunting and heartbreaking to even imagine what that family is going through. But she said, I asked her if she had any message that she wanted to share. And she just basically said that Daniel was all about love and he never wanted people to be fighting. And he was just a good soul.
Sweet kid.
Well, Jen, let's get back to the school, because we talked about it's a private school, probably small. They said they gave him 3 counseling sessions.
That's right.
I mean, can they be held responsible for this?
Well, this is becoming a bigger issue these days because of so many unfortunate suicides and kids accusing schools. Now, teachers and counselors do have a higher duty than just regular citizens in reporting any kind of bullying incidences or knowing about any possible suicide attempts. But here we're talking about the proximity issue. The child hung himself in August. School has been out for a few months already.
Right.
And although he may have written this note at the end of June, I think they're going to be hard-pressed to find the school liable when there's so much time that's passed. Now, he wrote in the note that, teachers didn't help him, but then he did say that there was one teacher who did pay attention. So I think that also blurs the issue a bit. It's not like they completely ignored this situation.
School spokesman said that his complaints did not fall on deaf ears. Incidents of bullying always are addressed at that school.
And the principal, Rosemary McGoldrick, defended the school in a letter to parents Saturday. She said, in part, "We remain committed to raising awareness about bullying and to training teachers, staff, parents, and students on prevention."
We posted this on fox29.com yesterday. My God, thousands and thousands of people responded with comments about their experience with bullying themselves and their kids.
Well, I think schools are going to have to make a greater effort to get anti-bullying policies in place. A lot of the public schools do, but now this private school, unfortunately, they have to learn from this incident and really put a strong policy in place to have no tolerance for any bullying of any sort. So I think we're going to see that more and more.
Well, I think they did bring some of the bullies together with them, and they made it even worse. How come you turned us in? That kind of stuff.
Right.
What do you do?
I will tell you that my daughter had a very upsetting experience in 6th grade with 2 boys who came to her and said some extraordinarily upsetting and inappropriate things to her. And when she told me, I immediately contacted the principal And one of the main things that I told the principal is, I do not want these boys to apologize to her. I do not want any more attention brought to my child. I want you to deal with these boys. And luckily, they did. They actually brought the boys into the principal office with their parents and made them repeat to their parents what they said to my daughter. Now, fortunately, I think I was actually more upset about this than she was. She handled it really, really well.
Yeah.
But we talk a lot. Like, we don't know the family dynamic of Daniel Fitzpatrick. There's so much that we don't know. There are so many kind of vague pieces to this story.
Well, I think it starts with communication. That's really with telling your children that they must talk to you and keeping those lines of communication open, because you're the first person that they're going to come to, not necessarily the school. And then it's up to you to let the school know what is going on.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's very sad. And thoughts with the family.
Well, we had some